Happy Wednesday, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncorked Mailbag. I appreciate you all tuning in for episode number 11. And I'll just go ahead and start off by saying if you would like to submit a question for next week, if you already have one on your mind, you can comment it on this video or send it to me on social media. Whatever's easiest for you, I will find it. But let's get right into this. So the first question is if I pull for any other sports team besides Auburn. So I actually had a mental battle, a debate with myself before football season last year because I didn't grow up a fan of any pro teams, no MLB teams, no NFL teams. My family has always gone for the Lions, the Detroit Lions, because we are all from Michigan. And a lot of my family still lives there. But my predicament was I can't just become a fan of a team because I like the colors or I like the mascot or anything like that. No. I have to have some sort of emotional attachment to this team like I do with Auburn. I would die for the Auburn Tigers. So I don't want to just be a casual fan. So the Lions have been the only NFL team that I've really paid much attention to because of my family. But I think I'm going all in with the Lions this season because Terrion Arnold was their first round draft pick and I love Terrion. I adore Terrion. He was our NIL player for Alabama last season alongside Jalen Milroe and Tyler Booker. And he has the most charismatic personality. He's so entertaining, such a good storyteller, and he might be one of my all-time favorite college players. I loved his relationship with Miss Terry, Nick Saban's wife. And then when the Lions drafted him, I was like, this feels like it's meant to be. It feels like the Lions drafted Terrion because I needed an emotional attachment. And I think that the Lions are going to be my team from now on. I think I've made that decision. If that changes, I'll let y'all know. But I think that I'm going all in on the Lions this season. I hope Terrion sees the field a little bit, but I'll be keeping up with them for sure. Next, best college football atmosphere. Home field advantage, some of you might call it. I'm obviously very biased when it comes to this, and I'm going to say Auburn. But I also haven't been to a ton of road games. So I don't want to speak on stadiums that I have not been to a game in because I feel like that's not how this works. I've been to games in Tuscaloosa, and I've been to games at LSU. LSU, I think, is a top 2 home field advantage or atmosphere in the SEC in college football because it's so massive. Their stadium is so massive. I think I walked 3.5 miles to get to my seat where the Auburn students were sitting when I went there for the game. The reason I will say Auburn, though, is because no matter how successful of a season they're having, no matter how many games they've won, how many games they're lost, they could have a horrible record. The fans are going to show up. The fans are going to be passionate and loud and excited. And I think we all saw that the Texas A&M game after Brian Harsin got fired and Cadillac took over as interim head coach. I think that Auburn has one of the most loyal fan bases in all of college athletics. And that translates to a great home field atmosphere. Alabama, and I'm not saying this just because I'm a huge Auburn fan. I've learned to respect my rivals throughout my work. The thing with Alabama is I think they got so used to winning games that the fans just wouldn't put up with sitting in the stadium. They knew they were going to win. They were blowing teams out. So everyone said, peace out, bye. And I cannot remember who it was, but I actually saw an interview with a former Alabama player recently. He basically said, we put in all this work during the off season, when no one's watching. And I played there during the times where fans were leaving after the first quarter, halfway through the second quarter. And it makes me sad for the players because, they come to school because they want the fans, the students, to be passionate about the sport, the team, and supportive. So that does make me sad. I'm not saying just for Alabama, no matter what team, when I see an empty stadium, it kind of breaks my heart. And I get that from my mom. It'll probably make my mom cry, and I would probably cry with her. It just makes me sad because these players put in so much hard work, and then, they start winning, which is obviously exciting. And then the fans are just like, all right, peace out. I'm done sweating in this 95-degree August day. So go to work, boys. I'm going to go to the bar and drink. But I do not think that Auburn's that way. I'm not saying that the stadium's packed every single game, but I do think we have a very loyal fan base. It gets very loud in there. And I think that it's one of the best. I asked the question on Twitter before I started to get some opinions from other fans. And I did see someone say Texas. I've never been to a game there, so I cannot comment on that. But they are part of the SEC now. And I kind of changed the question because it said best college football atmosphere. And I just changed it to SEC because that's what I'm most familiar with. But if y'all have been to other stadiums, or you have one that you feel very strongly has the best atmosphere or home field advantage, let me know, because this is very interesting, because I feel like a lot of times you see LSU, Auburn. So tell me about your experience at a SEC stadium or any stadium that you've been to and were impressed by the atmosphere. Now, Dunaway asked what my favorite SEC road trip ever was. And I think that I know the answer that he wants to hear. And I think it's what I'm going to say. And I don't really know if this counts, but I'm going to change the rules because I guess I make the rules. The SEC basketball tournament this past season was such a fun trip. Dunaway and I traveled a lot this, I guess, December or January, really through April, covering Auburn and Alabama basketball, which was so much fun. Being in Nashville for the tournament was such an incredible experience because you have games all day. You could have 4 games in one day watching all SEC teams play. It's a treat. It really is a treat. Obviously, Auburn won the tournament, which obviously plays a role in why I loved that road trip so much. But being able to see teams that are further away that we didn't have the chance to watch play during the season. And another very cool thing about this trip was that it was the postseason. So we were allowed to go in the locker rooms and interview the players after the games, which was a very cool experience for me. That's not something that I've done a lot of. And so I learned a lot, and experiencing the joy of the players after they accomplish something like that, especially when it's a team you love, it's a great feeling. So I would say Nashville this year, again, it's not a SEC road trip like to another SEC stadium. It's the SEC tournament to a basketball arena that none of the teams play in as their home arena. But that was my favorite SEC-based road trip, the 2024 SEC tournament, War Eagle. My favorite non-sports-related memory from my time at Auburn. This is hard because the Final Four run, easy answer. But I would just say living close to, I can't think of one specific memory. But I'm gonna combine this with another question, which was what advice I would give to someone that's going into their senior year at Auburn. This can relate to someone going into their senior year at any school. It doesn't have to be Auburn. It could be high school. It could be college. But any school, I would say take advantage of living close to the people that you've become so close with over the past 3 years, 4 years, however long you've been there. And I would say that was my favorite part of college, part of Auburn that doesn't have to do with sports, is living next door in the same house as all of my best friends. It's so, you take advantage of it because you get used to it. And, after 4 years, that's just what's normal. No one wants to think about graduating. No one wants to think about leaving. And you take it for granted because now, me personally, I have friends that are all across the country. And we have to make a large effort when we all want to be together. And sometimes it's hard, managing 8 people's schedules, trying to find a weekend that we can all be somewhere. And then, travel can be expensive and all that. So I definitely took advantage of the fact that we literally lived under the same roof for so long. And that's something that I would soak up every minute of it. Don't say no to opportunities to do things because it goes by so fast. Senior year went by so fast. And don't say no. Do all the things. I remember We started getting sentimental, obviously, when we realized that our time at Auburn was coming to an end and we were all going to be parting ways. And so we would just start doing random things. We started going to bingo on Wednesday nights at Draft House, which is it was just a random thing. It was fun. We would just start doing random things on nights that we probably typically would just be laying on the couch or laying in bed. And you can do that. We would have dip night. We would make appetizers and drink wine and just sit around and talk. But my advice is to take advantage of the time that you have around all of these people, especially your friends that you will not live close to after you graduate, because it really is such a huge adjustment and it can be hard and sad at times living far away from the people that you've been so close to for so long. So that kind of is my answer to both of those questions. My memories are probably the spontaneous nights that we would just go do random things and they turn into funny adventures. You never know what's going to happen. My friends and I were big prank girls. We love to pull a prank. So probably just sitting on the couch doing stupid things on random Tuesday nights was my favorite part about being a college student. There's really no time like it. They say that college is the best 4 years of your life. I hope that I still have great things ahead of me. I think I do. And I love my roommates now, so it kind of gives me a little bit of a taste of that. But take advantage of it. Don't say no. Go to the party. Go to the date party. Go to dinner, even if you're tired, because you'll be thankful that you did in the long run. Also, don't stress. Don't spend your last few months of school stressing about what's to come afterwards. There's another day and another time for that. And I actually started my last episode with a piece of advice for people graduating, but it pertains to finding a job. So if you're interested in that, you can go back and watch last week's episode if you haven't seen it already. But don't stress, hang out with your friends, and be present in the time that you all have together. I'm going to start crying right now. Okay, moving forward. How many games will Auburn win this season? I'm going to run through the schedule with y'all, and I'm just going to give y'all my prediction. I'm going to be looking over here because I have the schedule written out because I do not have it memorized by heart yet. I will soon. So the first 4 games, well, the first 5 games are all at home, but the first 4 games, Alabama A&M, Cal, New Mexico, Arkansas, all at Jordan-Hare Stadium. I'm going to mark all of those as wins. Then game number 5, Oklahoma travels to Auburn. It is their first SEC road game as members of the conference. And I think Auburn will go into this game 4-0. And I honestly have a good feeling about Auburn beating Oklahoma. And let me tell you why. I think a lot of Auburn's success or failure will be dependent on how young talent transitions to college football from high school football. Our wide receiver room has a lot of very, very, very talented players, but they are freshmen. So they have not played a snap of SEC football yet. I think it will help that Cam Coleman came to Auburn early and has been there for a few months now. So I think that will definitely help the transition. Everyone is giving Peyton Thorne hell and saying, well, y'all have good receivers, but who's going to throw to him? Peyton Thorne wasn't surrounded by a ton of talent last year. Not to knock on last year's team, but you can't blame incompletions on a quarterback when they hit the receivers in the hands. That's not what happened every time, but that was some of the problem. So I think that we have 4 games that will let these freshmen, some of the younger players or the transfers, get adjusted, get comfortable, get more confident. And then when Oklahoma comes to town, I think that the environment will overwhelm them because, as I said earlier, Auburn has an incredible home field advantage. Oklahoma will be their first game against one of these new SEC teams. So I think that the fans are going to be riled up. I think it's going to mean something to the players, obviously. It's a big game. It is their first big game of the season. Zach Blackerby said that it is arguably the most important game on Auburn's schedule because this is a vital part of the schedule. Because they lose this game, they still have a hell of a stretch left. They win, that gives them a boost of confidence. That gives them a very, very big boost of confidence, in my opinion. So I agree that this is a very important game on the schedule, and I think it'll set the tone for the rest of the season. So Auburn's next 3 games are on the road at Georgia, at Missouri, and at Kentucky. For those of you who haven't been keeping up, Auburn is Georgia's homecoming game. And I think that gave these Auburn players a little bit of bulletin board material. I would presume that was a little bit of an offensive thing to do. That's a little bit of a slap in the face because it is the Deep South's oldest rivalry, so on and so forth. So who knows? I'm going to say Auburn loses that game because it is in Athens and Georgia is obviously a dynasty of a program right now. I'm going to come back to Missouri. I think that we win on the road at Kentucky. Our next 3 games are at home: Vandy, La Monroe, and Texas A&M. I would say we beat Vandy, we beat La Monroe, and then I'm gonna say that we beat Texas A&M, and then the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa. This is also a very interesting game to me because it's going to be Kalen DeBoer's first Iron Bowl. I think the fans will show up for this. I mean, fans show up for Iron Bowls every year, especially it being Kalen DeBoer's first. I think it's going to be a packed out Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's hard for me to predict what will happen in this game because obviously it's the Iron Bowl, so crazy things happen. Imagine the statement that Auburn could make if they rolled up to Bryant-Denny Stadium and beat Alabama in Kalen DeBoer's first season as head coach of the Crimson Tide. Am I saying it's going to happen? No. But I think if Auburn can pull off some of these games that they're going to be underdogs in, boost the confidence of these young guys. I think right now is just a very unique time for both of these programs because Hugh Freeze has gotten a year under his belt and Alabama's in transition. I'm going to say Alabama will probably win this game, but I would not be surprised if Auburn walked into Bryant-Denny and upset Alabama. Now, circling back to the Missouri game, right now I only have Auburn losing 2 games to Alabama and to Georgia. I think this Missouri game is a toss-up. Depending on how the Georgia game goes, are the players going to feel a little discouraged depending on the outcome of that game? Or will they leave with a boost of confidence? Will it motivate them if they lose? I think that will be a very good test as to how they will respond to a little bit of adversity. I'm going to say that my prediction is Auburn goes 9-3, losing at Georgia and at Alabama. It pains me to say that. And potentially dropping one more game, maybe at Missouri. Missouri is going to be a preseason top 25 team. So maybe it's at Missouri. Maybe it's not. Maybe they win on the road and they end the season 10-2. How great would that be? One thing that I do want to say is I myself am horrible at having unrealistic expectations, but something that I have to remind myself is Hugh Freeze took over a dumpster fire of a program. Brian Harsin drove Auburn football into the ground and set it back years. So as a fan, speaking to other fans, I would say we need to be patient. We need to trust this coaching staff. They're obviously making a statement on the recruiting trail. They obviously know what they're doing, but it does take time to turn a program around. So when we lose a game, one of my least favorite things ever is seeing people that are probably sitting on their couch and maybe have never played one football game in their life bashing 18-year-old kids for losing a game. So let's try not to do that. Remember that this is only Hugh Freeze's second season, and we need to have patience and we need to have grace and mercy when it comes to our fandom because they're getting things going, but it only helps if we stay supportive and build up the players' confidence. All right. So I'm going to say 9-3, and I'll be happy with that. Who would win in a fight? Taylor Swift fans or Lady Gaga fans? This question is so easy to answer. Taylor Swift fans, 365 days of the year. Those people are loyal. If you say one negative thing about her, you don't like her outfit, they will come for your throat. They're not messing around. Jim Dunaway will tell you because he is one of them. I don't have a problem with Taylor Swift. I'm just not as I'm not a Swiftie. I'm not a diehard fan. I have no problem with her. I don't stream her music 24/7, but I mean, I'm indifferent. I think she's incredibly talented, but like, I don't have a fascination and obsession with her. I don't know how many loyal fans Lady Gaga has right now. I feel like it would be millions versus a couple that would go to battle for Lady Gaga. So I think Taylor Swift, 100% every day. Even on their worst day, even on the fans' worst day, the Swifties are having a down day. They're still winning this fight because there's power in numbers. And Taylor Swift has, I don't even know how many fans, but a lot more than Lady Gaga that would go to war for her. Who is having a bigger 15 minutes of fame, Roll Tide Willie or the girl that's going viral on social media right now? I'm not going to do it because someone's going to clip it or do something with it and post on social media like I did to Dunaway today when he did it on the next round. So I'm just going to avoid that. 100% Roll Tide Willie. This is not 15 minutes of fame. This is a season. This is an entire off season plus some of fame. This is an entire basketball season and still going of fame. He's part of the athletic department. He recruits for Alabama athletics. This is not 15 minutes of fame. This is welcome to our family. You are one of us and we will never make you leave. So Roll Tide Willie. I don't think that this is 15 minutes. I think he's going to be around for a while. I mean, the man's on stage with Nick Saban. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. Why do tourists go to the top of a tall building, then put money in telescopes to see things on the ground close up? This is an insane question. This is kind of like the straw question from last week that hurt my head. I think it's a different perspective. You know, you want to see life from different views. It's like going on a helicopter ride. You can see, well, no, that's actually not like that at all. But I think it's just, you can see more. You can see off into the distance without having to walk 5 miles probably. And it's a different perspective. Everyone needs to look at life through a different lens sometimes. So I think that's my answer. I don't know, just for fun. It usually only costs like $0.25, so why not do it? And just an experience. Just for the experience. Look at things from a bird's eye view. If you could pick any animal to represent yourself, what animal would it be? So I had a hard time doing this. This actually reminded me of public speaking freshman year of college because I'm pretty sure this was a prompt that we had to write about. I wish I could find my speech and I would read it to y'all because it was probably awful. But I reached out to my family and asked them to answer this question because I wanted to see what they would say. And my sister had the best answer of them all. And she said, a cheetah, but then sometimes a sloth. And I think that that's a very accurate representation because when I'm up and going, I'm up and going. I'm talking 1,000,000 miles a minute. I'm nonstop. It's probably a little bit of ADHD, but I'm just all over the place. My brain goes from one topic to another at the speed of light. But also, if I'm having a bad sleep day, I have sleep disorders, for those of you who don't know that, which I won't get into that right now. But I have sleep apnea and narcolepsy. So when I'm down, when I'm tired, I'm tired. And I am a sloth. I don't want to move. I don't want to talk. I move so slow. I just kind of like mope around. So that props Aaron for that comparison because I don't think that anything could represent me better. I think that that is a perfect description. Bravo to everyone that submitted a question this week. I couldn't get to them all, but incredible job. Very creative. And I appreciate that greatly. But before you go, I need to remind you that you can get 20% off your first throwback order when you use the code CORK20, CORK20. And you should treat yourself today or surprise someone else. Everyone loves a surprise. I love getting surprises in the mail. So order something for someone special or order something for yourself. They have any attire for any activity. The guys that I work with love it. My dad loves it. They have hoodies. They have quarter zips. They have polos. They have hats. They have pants. They have shorts. They have swimsuits. They literally have everything. And it's golfing season. I hear from Dunaway and Brown that it's the perfect attire to wear when you golf. And they also have a bunch of new women's attire. They have athletic shorts. They have athletic dresses, skirts, tank tops, t-shirts. Their t-shirts are my favorite things in the world. They are so soft. I wear them all the time. They have zip-up jackets. They have hoodies. They literally have everything. So use code CORK20 at roback.com and get 20% off your order. Treat yourself or treat someone in your life that needs a pick-me-up. And they'll appreciate you or you'll appreciate yourself. Retail therapy. Everyone needs it. But that'll do it for this week's episode. Remember that if you would like to submit a question, you can do so in the comments of this video or on social media. And a couple things that you can do to help me if you so desire. You can like this video, you can share it with a friend if you enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate any or all of the above. But again, I appreciate all the questions, and I will see y'all next Wednesday.